Thank you, Sherlock, and I welcome the Minister before us tonight. I think it's a sign that the Minister gives this very important issue the due recognition that it deserves. I wish to speak to the issue of the future of the Tidy Towns competition. I had submitted a parliamentary question to the Minister on the 17th of September in respect of whether or not the Tidy Towns competition would be allowed to proceed in 2021 under the current social distancing guidelines and public health guidelines. The Minister did reply to the effect of saying that the Tidy Towns competition has a unique place in Ireland's culture, and since its inception in 1958, when it had 52 entrants, the competition has grown year on year to see a record number of 924 entrants in 2019. Unfortunately, the 2020 SuperValu Tidy Towns competition had to be cancelled this year on public health grounds due to COVID-19. The work of the Tidy Towns committees is built on communities coming together and working together. In the situation we found ourselves in this year, it would not have been possible for committees around the country to deliver their projects in the usual way. I know the Minister acknowledges the importance of the competition. There are many committees throughout the country now who want to continue on the basis of adherence to the public health guidelines. They are seeking some solace from the Minister and from through public health guidelines as to whether or not there would be a competition next year, and they're seeking the goodwill, if you will, of the government and of the Minister to seek to do her very best to ensure that it does proceed next year because of the importance of the competition. It's self-evident to us all what the importance of the competition is, but if they had some word of solace, of some word of comfort, and maybe a view and some lateral thinking about how the competition may continue to proceed in 2021, I think that would give many people it would give people a great lift in these times, because we know the character of the volunteers that are involved in the Tidy Towns competition. We know that there are many people who are semi-retired or retired, but it is a competition that encourages young and older people, I would say, to be involved, and they just want some guidance and direction from the Minister. And if it is in the affirmative, I think they would welcome that. If the Minister could work with the Tidy Towns competition, in a way that allows it to proceed in 2021, I think that would be a really positive step on the part of this government. I think it would be a really positive step for each one of those committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. On Hara.
Sherlock, and first of all, I just want to thank Deputy Sherlock for raising this matter, and I want to say very clearly tonight that it is my absolute intention that we will have a Tidy Towns competition in 2021. The SuperValu Tidy Towns has been in existence since 1958, as Deputy Sherlock has said, and has become an integral part of our culture over the intervening years. The competition continues to grow in popularity, and in 2019 a record 924 entries were received. The competition was just ready to be launched earlier this year when COVID-19 arrived. Unfortunately, like many other events that we hold dear, the competition did not proceed in 2020 as a result of the pandemic. This decision was taken in line with the public health advice and in collaboration with the competition sponsor SuperValu. The decision, of course, was made in April during the first period of severe restrictions, when essentially the advice to everybody was to stay at home. Many of our Tidy Towns volunteers and adjudicators were very limited in what they could do earlier in the year. However, we have moved through different stages of living alongside the pandemic, and the Tidy Town volunteers have demonstrated that they can continue to do some of their activities while still following all of the necessary public health precautions. My department is in regular contact with close to 1,000 Tidy Town groups across the country, and we are hearing of some wonderful projects and community-wide initiatives that have been delivered in recent months. Indeed, many of our tidy town groups have also been instrumental in assisting with the community response to COVID-19. And many of the projects being delivered this year feature in the monthly Tidy Towns newsletter with the groups themselves. They contribute to that, and which my department issues through our social media channels. The interest in the newsletter demonstrates how popular the competition continues to be and the level of work that continues even in the absence of a formal competition this year. So as we look forward to next year, I want to assure the Deputy and the House that there will be a Tidy Towns competition in 2021. We may need to alter and adapt our approach to delivering the competition next year, given the ongoing constraints posed by COVID, but we can retain the ethos of the competition that has stood the test of time so well. My department is currently considering the format the competition could take next year, having regard to restrictions on gatherings at each of the 5 levels of the government's plan for living with COVID-19 and the paramount need to protect the health and well-being of volunteers and adjudicators. The details of any changes in the competition will be shared with the Tidy Town groups well in advance. So I just want to assure the Tidy Towns groups and the thousands of volunteers that my department and the government is absolutely committed to the Tidy Towns competition, and we look forward to encouraging more and more towns and villages to join us in future years.
Minister. Deputy Seán Sherlock has 2 further minutes.
Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach, and I'm very grateful to the Minister for her reply. It was worth staying up this late just to hear such an assertive and affirmative reply from the Minister. I think there is no ambiguity from the Minister in respect of the future of the competition for 2021, and I think the 924 plus applicants that will be there in 2021 will be delighted with this news. I think it's a very genuine competition. The people that are involved are the salt of the earth. They do so much for their community. And it's such a valuable competition, and I have to acknowledge the role of SuperValu as well in the sponsorship that it brings, as well as the state intervention in this competition. Its impact is enormous, and I think in the midst of COVID, the psycho-social value of this competition, I think, is even more highlighted now. So I think that's a very positive response from the Minister. I think all of the volunteers will be delighted. I think it will lead to yet further enhancement of our communities across the state, and I sincerely welcome the Minister's reply, and I welcome the fact that it is so unambiguous, it is so direct, and as I say, on the US election night, it's worth it at 10 to 12 to get an answer like that, because it's rare that you get a positive answer when you put down a topical issue, coming up to midnight. But this is a very positive, answer, and I do welcome the Minister's reply, and I thank her sincerely for her reply.
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you, well, just like you, Deputy, I absolutely recognise the great work of our Tidy Towns committees, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because Glaslough in my own county won the 2019 Tidy Towns competition, so I do know how much this means and the sense of pride it brings to the local community. I've also attended many events where the prizes were given out, and I was great to meet every single organisation across the country, the finalists, and you'd meet them at the event and you'd have a chat with them all, and the work that they do is magnificent. But I have to say, we are in a different place. We were in a different place last March and April when COVID first struck to where we are now. So now we're learning to operate and live alongside this virus. The vast majority of work that our Tidy Towns volunteers carry out, and which make a huge difference to our local towns and villages, it actually can be carried out in a socially distanced way. And so, as with everything with COVID, there are always going to be some challenges, but I believe these can be overcome, because look what others have done. And I have to say, I never thought I'd see Monaghan play Cavan in the first round of the Ulster Championship in front of an empty St Ciarnoc's Park in Clonus last Saturday, but that's exactly what happened last weekend. Now, I have to say Cavan beat us, but nevertheless, it does show what can be possible, you know, when there is a will. And so I just want to assure you, Deputy, that the will is there on my part to make sure that the Tidy Towns competition happens next year. And that's what we want to see, and we will be consulting with the Tidy Towns groups and organisations, because, as I said, they'll come up with their own solutions and good ideas, so we will be consulting with them and we want to make it happen.
Thank you. Minister.